Hi, peace be with you. This is the Yahuwah World Peace, Truth, and Love radio show, and this show is about ending all racism, Satanism, and child abuse by speaking about world current events in the news with commentary from the Bible in English and Almighty Father Yahuwah's Torah in ancient Hebrew. So we're going to begin by showing news video clips and also some various other video clips, and then we'll continue with Yahuwah commentary afterward. Take care, respect.
The world is facing a class action lawsuit in Canada and a criminal investigation in the U.S. tonight. Volkswagen has admitted its diesel-powered cars, billed as clean energy, were actually deliberately rigged to violate environmental laws. Today, Volkswagen Canada stopped selling the polluting cars as VW stocks plunged a staggering 18%. CTV's Peter Ackman has the details.
Pulled from car lots around the world, Volkswagen's best-selling diesel-powered vehicles, Beetles, Jettas, Passats, and the list goes on. In Canada, they account for more than 22% of VW sales. Volkswagen Canada has issued a stop sale order for all vehicles affected by this issue. The automaker knowingly rigged emissions tests on diesel vehicles built since 2009.
Essentially putting a cheat code into their engine management system for these diesel engines that would enable them to pass the emissions tests.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency says once the tests were done, at least 500,000 cars would begin spewing out nitrogen oxide, a chemical compound linked to asthma and lung illnesses, at over 40 times the national standard.
Yeah, it's a bit shocking.
But I know it's not a good thing.
The German government is also now investigating to see if emission controls have been rigged in Europe. If this is true, says the head of Germany's automotive management, this could involve health risks and possibly deaths. Despite Volkswagen's president apologizing, the punishment has been swift. The EPA levied a potential maximum of $18 billion, and today, VW stocks plummeted, devaluing the company by nearly $20 billion.
EPA is trying to send a message to the industry as a whole that they're not going to tolerate any funny business.
The fine eclipsed the $4 billion fine BP was forced to pay for the 2010 oil spill, while General Motors was fined $900 million for last year's ignition issues cover-up linked to at least 120 deaths.
The fines for environmental breaches can be higher, and the culture around environmental breaches is different from auto safety.
The EPA's investigation doesn't end with Volkswagen. It will be reviewing data from other automakers to see if their vehicles' emission levels have also been manipulated. Peter Ackman, CTV News, Toronto.
And an update tonight in a deadly case of food poisoning going back to 2009. Stuart Parnell, the former CEO of the U.S. Peanut Company, was given 28 years in prison today for knowingly shipping peanut butter contaminated with salmonella. 9 people died. More than 700 others fell ill. Parnell was also found guilty of rigging the tests that screen for salmonella. And the head of a U.S. pharmaceutical company's
visit to the U.S. comes at a time when religion has been injected into the presidential campaign, and it's getting ugly. The controversy was touched off by Republican contender Donald Trump and some of his supporters making inflammatory comments about Muslims, even using words like terrorist. Now one of Trump's rivals is under fire for his stand on the place of Muslims in American society. CTV's Joy Malvin now on a darker side of the U.S. political debate.
Donald Trump will say just about anything.
I brought my Bible.
What he won't say, and refuses to, is condemn a supporter's offensive attack on Muslims.
Problem in this country is called Muslim. We know our current president is one. Right. You know he's not even an American.
Doubling down on the talk shows, Trump still won't concede President Obama is an American and a Christian.
Can you imagine supporting or being comfortable if a Muslim ever became president of the United States?
Would I be comfortable? I don't know if we have to address it right now.
You said you'd have no problem putting a Muslim in your cabinet.
Some people have said it already happened, frankly.
And it's not just the Donald. Another Republican presidential hopeful, Ben Carson, says outright Muslims don't belong in the White House.
I would not advocate that we put a Muslim in charge of this nation. I absolutely would not agree with that.
America's largest Muslim group is demanding Carson withdraw from the race, saying he's not fit to be president. This isn't the script Republicans for. The party that prided itself as welcoming, inclusive, faces charges of intolerance.
I have friends that are Muslims. They're great people, amazing people, but we certainly do have a problem. I mean, you have a problem throughout the world.
Some Republican candidates have distanced themselves from Trump, while Democratic contenders are calling him out.
He's been trafficking in prejudice and paranoia throughout this campaign.
What Trump is doing is appealing to the baser instincts among us, xenophobia and, frankly, racism.
Trump's colorful talk may finally cost him. After a lackluster debate performance, polls show he's still leading, but slipping in support for the first time. As for Ben Carson, his campaign says he'll try to reach out to the Muslim community. Sandy?
Joy, thank you. CTV's Joy Malvin in Washington.
Another slide on the markets today. The TSX and Dow were both down. The dollar dropped briefly to an 11-year low, ending the day at just under 75 cents U.S., and the price of oil dipped to $44.48 a barrel. Tonight, for the first time, all 5 federal leaders on one stage with one focus: voters in Quebec. The kneecap, sovereignty, and the economy.
Ma position est très claire.
Full team coverage of the French debate. Good evening. Canada is a nation of competing regions with conflicting desires, but still a place where the center holds. Tonight, though, in the first French debate, the center began to creak on some provocative issues. It all happened in Quebec, the province that may hold the balance of power between a majority and minority government. 5 leaders were invited, making for a somewhat awkward group handshake to kick off what may be the only debate taking place in front of a mass TV audience. With more on day 54 of this 78-day campaign, here's CTV's Laurie Graham.
Hi, welcome everybody. Peace be with you. This is the Yahuwah World Peace, Truth and Love radio show, and this show is about ending all racism, Satanism, and child abuse by speaking about world current events uncensored in the news, and also speaking about the Bible in English and Almighty Father Yahuwah's Torah in ancient Hebrew. I'm the DJ, Yeshayahu Abi Yahweh, the Hebrew Israelite Nazarite, Nati dreadlock, dark-skinned melanin man who speaks prophecy in the name of Almighty Father Yahuwah. So, the Almighty Father Yahuwah in the Torah and with the 12 tribes Israelites, the dark-skinned melanin people, he told us to live with love and mercy in the world. So in today's world 2016, you could see the world that we're living in, especially in North America, that people have elected and have chosen, and this is what people want. So what you see in the world on TV, politics, everywhere, this is what people have voted for, and this is what they want to have in society. So if they allow businesses and companies to work in the way that they work and to do what they do, it's because people allow these businesses to be open and they shop in those businesses, whether it's for cars or anything else, clothes, food, etc. So this is what the world is about. People are getting what they want and people are getting what they deserve. And you always get what you deserve because you reap what you sow. What you do is what you receive. So this is why we are showing all these news articles in the beginning for this show all the time, so that people see what the world is about and what's happening. So you could see that these car companies, they're tricking people on purpose, and people have died because of their faulty mechanics. And you could also see that there is a lot of Freemasonry in politics with the handshakes and with all the numerology that they use. And as well, you could see that in society, there's a lot of sexuality that's wrong with the sex trafficking. Then you could see the Pope, he's sitting under a pyramid, and he's also talking about politics. That's blasphemy. And then you could see with Russia and America that they're working together and that they're shaking hands on it, doing illegal works. And at the same time, domestic violence is up all over, and that they have racist names for streets in the world, and that there's a lot of money in the politics. They have a surplus, and that they're also calling candidates getting banned. And then there's also candidates who will not get banned in politics for racism, while at the same time the Pope, he knows that there's a lot of pedophilia inside the church, and he said that it's over 2%, especially with the bishops and the cardinals all over the world in Christianity, and that includes all the schools and the teachers and all of the charities and so on. So you could see in the world, especially with the racism, that some candidates will get their jobs lost because they're speaking about controversial topics such as homosexuality, and that in their opinion, and in their people's traditions opinion, that they disagree with that they lose their jobs. While at the same time, other candidates, such as the front runner in the 2016 presidential election for the Republicans, he's speaking a whole bunch of racist rhetoric all the time and saying all sorts of disrespectful things towards women, and he has not been banned or lost his job as a politician yet. So he's getting to push it as far as he wants, and nobody cares. And if you look at the election, he stood on a election stage with his Bible in hand, saying that's what he believes in. So he's speaking about his beliefs and his opinions, and he's getting to say whatever he wants, and nobody's making him lose his job as a politician. So you could see that there's an unfair standard in society, and this is what people want. So in North America and in the world, people have to know that this is happening worldwide. People are treating each other these unfair ways because this is what they want. This is what society is about. And until people look at it for what it is, if people do not look at what they're contributing to society and how it affects other people, then they will never understand, and they will never be able to figure out or problem solve any of the problems that arise in society. Why? Because if you're not looking at things exactly for what it is, you will not be able to solve it. Whether it's for science or mathematics, when you're using a proper hypothesis, if you're not asking the right questions, you will not be able to derive or come out with the right answers. So this is what life is about. And like we say, people are reaping what they're sowing. So this is prophecy of Almighty Father Yahuwah. Yahuwah has told people in the world that continuously the leaders of the world that are running things politically, that they're involved in Satanism, which is a part of Freemasonry, and that it extends to all the groups of Christianity. It also extends to the groups that are involved in Islam, and then it also extends to the groups that are so-called Jewish people that are a part of the synagogue of Satan that is written in the book of Revelation. So you could see this is prophecy because the Pope, while he was in North America, he did not do anything to help the victims of sexual abuse. All he did was talk to them. And in the news article that is on today's show, you can see when you watch it over that the victims of sexual abuse, they said that they were tired of hearing the same apologies over and over again, and that those false apologies will not help any of those victims and survivors of the sexual abuse. So the point that I'm making is that while the Pope was in North America doing all the photo ops, sitting under pyramids, talking to politicians, praising politics in general, saying that it helps the people, instead of trying to tell them to read the Bible and to go deeper and to read the Torah and to change their lives that way, he didn't say that. And also while he was in North America, he was with a lot of celebrities, whether they were racist or not. He was taking photo ops with all sorts of people, wasting time. But he did not announce any new laws inside the Christian church to help the sexual abuse survivors. All he did was apologize to them. He did not show them any new legislation inside the Catholic Church and the Christian Church that would stop these abuses from happening. All he did was speak to the bishops and say that they should try to stop it more. So you could see that they're wasting time in life. And while everybody wants him to take pictures, people are getting what they want. They want the photo ops. They want him in his pollution car driving around with all the security, looking like he's a big person. And they want to always see him with the UN so people can say, yes, he's influencing the politicians. Well, if he's influencing the politicians, nothing is getting done. So as you could see, if he's around politicians, he should not be, because the scripture, the Bible, the Torah, were only supposed to be about Almighty Father Yahuwah and about the 12 tribes Israelite people. We're not supposed to be mixing up with world politicians. There were many kings in Israel that did that, and they did it improperly, and they went to these other political groups, and that's what was their downfall, if you read the book of Kings. So you can see that because the Pope is doing that, he is a false person in terms of Christianity and in terms of the Almighty Father Yahuwah. The Pope and Christianity is false. We're proving it to you with Yahweh prophecy right now. So you could see that this is what the world is about. So everything is false and fake, and this is why people are in problems, and this is why there's a lot of suffering. So it extends all over. So with the Pope, he needs to not be looked upon as somebody who is a leader when it comes to the Bible, because he is fake. And like we said, he did not bring in any new legislation or any new laws with the priests and all those people to help the victims. All he's doing is taking photo ops and wasting time. So you could see that also in society, that people need to always live positively and to think positively. And this is why the Bible and the Torah is essential to people, because when you pray to the Almighty Father Yahuwah, you center yourself and you get a calmness and you receive reasoning and inspiration from the Almighty Yahuwah to help you in your daily life and to live with love and mercy. So this is what life is about. So as you could see, politics is intertwined with the Christian church, and that is also intertwined with the Jewish synagogue, and it's also intertwined with the Islamic traditions as well. So this is why we were showing Obama with Putin shaking hands in Syria. So Putin is saying that the U.S. is doing illegal support of the rebel groups, which is ISIS, in Syria, because ISIS is one of the military groups in Syria that is fighting against Bashar Assad. So what's happening is that there's multiple military groups in that area. Some of them are for ISIS, and then some of them are mixed up with the different countries that are in Syria, either to fight against Bashar Assad or to fight against ISIS. And some of them are also Islamic military groups that are just groups among themselves. They're not terrorist groups, they're just Islamic groups of people that are living in certain areas fighting against whichever political regime is in their territory. So this is why, if Putin is saying what the U.S. is doing is illegal, why is he shaking hands with Obama for photo ops? They're shaking hands because everything is a setup, and everything they're doing, they're working together to achieve it. So whether they're arguing or not, that's all just for the photos and for the newspapers. It's just a fake image. So people have to look further into these things to see what these things mean. And by looking further, the best thing to do is to pray to Almighty Father Yahuwah, for he has all the answers in the world and in the universe, for Yahuwah created the universe. So this is why we show all the news articles, to show people what's going on. They're allowing these car companies to kill people as long as they pay money to get off. You can see as well that all the politicians, they're involved with these Freemasonry handshakes and all that kind of stuff. These are all signs and signals so that people know what's going on, and so that people can either do something about it or be docile and continue to be enslaved and oppressed. And if you notice, people who are not doing anything in society, they slowly learn little clever tricks of the trade to become more mischievous and to get ahead by lying, cheating, and stealing. So people in the world, you have to stay away from anyone who's living negative, anyone who's doing anything false and fake. Just don't go around them. All right, Yahweh will heal the world with peace and truth. Hallelujah.